Hello, friends, and welcome to the Healthy Christian Leaders Show. And today we are really blessed to have Esther Lysakovsky with us. And I am so excited to have you here, Esther, because you have been such a great encourager for Kristen and I in our journey in ministry and serving in business. You've been a blessing at the well that we've been hosting for leaders in the Truro area. And you're involved in Alpha across Canada as a senior advisor. You're a mom, amazing family, and you even find time somewhere in there to have some entrepreneurial things going on. I can't wait to have this conversation because we're going to talk about influencing others, and it's a whole new day for influencing. And what does that mean when we get into just the conversation when you talk about influencing others? What does it actually mean?
When I think of influencing, it's a sense of purpose and calling in the things that you're doing. You feel a sense of I can make a difference wherever I am, whether I've been given a title or not, whether it's part of my job description or not. You walk into a room, a church, your workplace, your family, and you potentially, most often, if you're in leadership, you see the problems, but you also see a solution. And you see what can be done. And more often than not, I think you see that you yourself can actually bring a solution to the things around you, whether it's during times of crisis, whether it's in your family. You see that you have this incredible opportunity to lead. Now, in family, you have the authority, of course, but in other areas, we don't always have that authority or job description or title. And I think what I realized in my life in leadership at a younger age is I was often placed in position where I didn't realize I was influencing. That wasn't a word I would use, but had the ability to bring some necessary change or support or encouragement to the places around me. And as an older adult, I'd say in my 30s, I started to recognize that actually, most often than not, I don't have a title, in the sense of I'm not a staff member of a church. I'm not the lead pastor. Or, I'm more often than not, I'm a lay leader. Or in my workplace, I am potentially I'm leading with a title, but I'm not at the lead table. I'm not the executive team member. I don't have a team. I've never managed a team of people. And to me, in my mind, I thought I needed to be doing those things or have those titles in order to make an impact where I was. And I started to realize that we can't just wait around for a title. When you feel called to make impact or change or to influence, you just got to step into it with a God-given authority and understand that our leaders need us too. Those with the title, those who are the director, the CEO, the lead pastor, they need people to come alongside and support the work that they're doing and to do it without a title. And so that's where it just came out of a very personal place. And I'm thankful for some encouragement along the way from some incredible leaders that I have the privilege of working with that would see those things in me and call them out and give me the encouragement that I needed to step into more leadership, more influence, even if I don't have the title.
So what would influence look like in practical terms?
For me, what it tends to be is you walk into that room, say, let's use the church, the local church as an example. There's a lot of people who attend churches and they see the problems and they just think, this church doesn't have a good enough children's program, so I'm going to go find one that does. Or, I was at a church where we were brand new to the church. They were just starting to really see a number of young families come through. And they didn't have anything for women, for children to gather, to be ministered to encourage and connect. And I saw that problem and I thought, I'm going to talk to the lead pastor and just see if there's something that can be done there. Right away, they said, yes, we love your idea. Would you run with this? And it was a sense of you see a problem, but rather than run away from it, you decide to make a change or you be the change. And then in that point, you have a vision. You have something you feel is a calling, even if it's the beginning of something. In that sense, I felt I can do something to minister to the women of this church, to the children, to be able to minister and connect them. And so then you start to have conversations. You start to build a relationship with people. There's trust, there's mutual respect. And I think that to influence, you need to begin with trust and respect of others. And in that, you start to bring other people along.
Well, the amazing thing is, in the example you just gave, is so many leaders are in a situation where they would just so appreciate it if people brought forward solutions versus criticisms.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're trying to lead a team forward, and we all know in any organization we lead, there are gaps. Mm-hmm. And when the team comes forward and says, I have an idea, I have solutions, I would love to take and sow into this, I think that's actually a breath of fresh air for most leaders.
I think what teams are realizing with COVID and with other opportunities, moments of crisis or change, we see that those that are in leadership are already maxed out. And when you have those people who can say, I've been invested in and now I want to invest back. I want to lead up. I want to say to my boss or my lead pastor, how can I help you? I see that you're maxed out and stressed, or you have a lot on your plate. What can I take off your plate today? How can I help you? And that's leading up. I think it begins from a personal place. You yourself need to be strengthened personally discipled, in Scripture, prayed up, ready, so that in those moments you can be a solution to a problem or a crisis. You feel, you have perhaps the solution or the answer, or at the very least you just say, how can I help? Right? And just those words alone, how can I help, would make a tremendous impact. Because our leaders are already leading so much, so often, they don't get those breaks. And I think it's that empathy, that compassion, and to not assume that people of leadership have this endless capacity to just keep on pouring out day in, day out to those around them, and not also themselves need encouragement.
No, it's huge. So what other areas too? Now we've talked about, local church setting where we can step into where there's a void. And what about neighbors and friends and family? Sometimes we feel like, okay, the person's going through this situation, or we may see them in a situation and we're not sure what our boundaries are. How do you influence neighbors and friends and family, people that surround us?
That's a great question. When I think of family, I didn't recognize the influence that I could have in a family setting, or I didn't appreciate that God-given ability to influence. But I was reading a great book, How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. Clay Scroggins, he oversees a campus for Andy Stanley in the States. And I recognized that here was another guy about my age with similar questions. And it was a sense of, I actually have these two young sons. They're almost 9 and 11 now. And they are observing my husband and I, our interactions. They're observing our marriage. They're observing our prayer life. We are, I recognize, when children say their goodnight prayers, or we're dropping off at school and we say, can you pray for your day? More often than not, they're praying exactly the way that you yourself have taught them to pray, or you have prayed in front of them, and they're using those words. You've influenced your children in how they pray. And we as parents, we have this God-given authority to lead our families. However, if we only take that posture of authority without an influence of a sense of more is caught than taught. So if we're simply saying to our children from an authoritarian place, this is what you must do and why and how, that works for a time, but then there comes a season where they're no longer with you. Are you still influencing their decisions? Are the things that you say and do still making an impact in their decision making? Is it supporting them? Is it helping and encouraging them to flourish? And I started to realize that if I want my children to be influenced positively for the world, to be strong leaders and influencers themselves, to lead from humility and love and prayer, then that begins now. And as a mother, I have the opportunity to take all these lessons of leadership that I read about and implement in my workplace, and I can actually practice at home with my children in a way that will benefit. But in the sense of community, there's a great example of someone actually that attends my church. This gentleman was recently diagnosed with cancer, but he is the man and his wife who are at church almost every day. There was an opportunity, we were doing some renovations at our church, and so he's been there on site every day. And we're a church that is downtown, and so a lot of people come through who are homeless, who are in poverty, way below poverty line, and they would find their home at our church building because these older men of faith are there on site every day, renovating the church physically, but providing mentorship and love to those that are coming through the doors. And they're there, and they don't have a title. They're not there under the staff banner. They're not there under a ministry title or any other title. They're there serving and loving. And I don't even know if they necessarily see it, but what I see is I see these men of faith who so live out their faith that already they're beginning to influence these younger men who are there, who are following in their footsteps, who are showing up, coming to church, being involved. And that to me is an example of what it can look like to influence, whether you know it or not, and whether you have a title or authority, to be able to serve our community members in practical ways. And in that, you're showing them Jesus. You're influencing kingdom. You're showing our values as a church community, as a Christian community. And that to me is just love in action and influencing for the kingdom.
We're going to take a break for a moment right now, and we'll be right back to carry this amazing conversation on about influencing others. Well, today's conversation was fantastic, but we're not finished yet. We'll be back in the next video with the same guest with more discussion about leader health. You know the drill. Subscribe and hit that bell. Would you join us for the next episode? You can find new episodes every week in video form on the Aaron Ministry YouTube page and in audio form as the Healthy Christian Leader Show wherever you get your podcasts. Aaron Ministries is an interdenominational network of friends in ministry with a mission to foster healthy Christian leaders. Check out our website, aaronministries.com, for more resources and information on how to donate or to start a healthy Christian leader gathering in your area. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.